When we think of traditional religion, we sadly also think of bigotry. But when we think too logically and are too skeptical, we also lose the magic of divinity and the suspension of disbelief. So, what's the perfect way to balance religion and logical epistemological thinking, whilst not being a religious zealot or a stick up his ass atheist? Well, in order to find the perfect intersection, I seek to follow the example of a nation, and that is the one and only Spain. And you might be asking, hey, isn't Spain the country that literally caused the Inquisition, the expulsion of the Jews and Muslims, the conquest of the Americas, and the slaughter of millions? And didn't it also play a role in the 30 Years' War? And most of all, didn't it have like a dictator 50 years back, a little bit more than 50 years back, that instilled fear within the population using religion and Catholicism specifically? Well, yes. But modern day Spain is a completely different story. The major problem with pretty much all monotheistic religions, their doctrines specifically, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, is that if you follow everything word for word, you're not exactly going to be the most inclusive and politically correct person out there. That's just a truth that everybody needs to embrace. So, that also means that the more conservative people are with religion, the more xenophobia, racism, homophobia, transphobia, and definitely also misogyny. But same-sex marriage has been legal in Spain since 2005. And when it comes to social rights, human rights, in my opinion, that is one of the most important things for a country to have. Because it shows their acceptance and inclusivity towards every single citizen, regardless of innate human characteristics. And if you think that sexuality isn't an innate human characteristic, then you're probably part of the problem. So in this video, let's see what we can learn from Spain on a religious and political level. How we can become more inclusive and politically correct without straying away from religion too much. First, let's address the elephant in the room: Spain's extremely dark and brutal past, and also how it ultimately led to a more unbigoted society. Although many gay people still follow religion, there have been studies that kind of show that they are more likely to be non-religious, for obvious reasons. And guess what? They have been living completely normal lives with full human rights for about 20 years now. I can also confirm that there are a lot of religious purists as well, who go every single week on Sunday to church and have also kind of developed a superiority complex because of the complexity of Catholic rituals. And guess what? Spain has the most beautiful, by far, in my opinion, in my non-biased opinion, the most beautiful churches on the face of the planet. So they are perfectly accommodated as well. To be 100% perfectly honest, I am strictly comparing with Romania because it is my cherished motherland. I love Romania. It will always be my home. I love it. But I need to be honest, and it deeply saddens me to say that it is it's probably the worst example I know of a country being infected from the core by religious ideology. It is one of the most orthodox and religious countries in Europe, by far. And from what I see on a daily basis, also extremely homophobic and racist. The word homosexual is still used as an insult. The N-word is used lightly as a joke. Yesterday, I was walking on the street and there was this very obviously gay guy waiting to cross the road. And an old woman, hands behind her back, walks up to him and spits in his face. I would not be shocked to learn that she was on her way to church. But in order for a country and maybe even a person to know how to practice religion correctly, there is kind of a dark reality behind it. Spain and the United States are some of the most politically correct countries on earth. Spain for aforementioned reasons, and the US because it is categorically the birthplace of wokeism, at least from the perspective of the movement. If you look at the history of these two countries, it also explains a lot. Spain has all of that, and the US has 246 years of slavery under its belt. The Chinese Exclusion Act, segregation, etc. In order for these countries to become as inclusive as they are now, maybe some of you will argue that the United States aren't really that inclusive, but I have never been there, so I'm not going to comment on that. Whatever. Both of them had to go through extremely long periods of bigotry in order to actually end up in the place that they are now. And this is also the case for most atheists. A lot of atheists grew up in extremist Catholicism, Mormonism, Islam, Judaism, and by the time they grew older, or just became a full-on adult, they realized that they were kind of forced into something they didn't really have an interest in from the very beginning. And so they quit altogether. They quit and stopped believing in what they were forced into believing altogether. So what is the main problem? Blind belief. Believing blindly in the societal norms religion has kind of instilled within society. Romania, for example, has been historically terrorized by Islam in its numerous wars with the Ottoman Empire, but it has never actually figured out the horrors its own religion is capable of, besides a couple of crusades it participated in. Thus, it falls into a cycle of mindless belief, needlessly vomiting out and regurgitating the mild bigotry it has been force-fed for years, and without even realizing that the countries that were brutally slaughtering and massacring people hundreds of years ago in the name of religion, the new generations of these nations have done a complete 180 and have now adopted a more inclusive mindset while still keeping and maintaining and just relishing the beauty, the stupendous beauty of religion. This was a decently provocative video, so I hope that you enjoyed. It's not anti-religion or anti-LGBTQ, not even pro-religion or pro-LGBTQ. I want it to be neutral, even though I love both. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so if you like sociology, psychology, philosophy, history, calisthenics, whatever, any of those 4 or 5 things, subscribe to the YouTube channel and join this little movement of social sciences and speaking to people and theories and sociology that I've kind of built from the ground up over the course of a year and a half now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, I hope you're not upset, and I'll see you later, and stronger than ever.